Hi, my name is Dr. Caitlin Daly, and I'd like to welcome you to Branding and Marketing for the Modern Equine Practice. I know many of you are watching at 6 a.m. or 9 p.m. I've been there, and I really appreciate you joining me. Today we'll be discussing a lot of valuable information that I feel you can apply directly and easily to your practice. I want to start out by telling you a little bit about myself and why I'm here today talking to you about marketing and in a later lecture, social media. I graduated from vet school in 2011 from Ohio State and went on to establish my veterinary practice, Midcoast Equine, in 2013. I'm a solo equine practitioner working in rural Midcoast, Maine. I have a general practice, but I focus a lot of my attention on dentistry, lameness, and integrative services such as spinal manipulation and acupuncture. In 2015, I joined a business management group called Decade One that had been established by Dr. Amy Grice. Each group consists of 20 or so like-minded practitioners that are within 10 years of graduation. It includes practice owners, those that are thinking about buying into a practice, and associates. I was able to learn a lot about business management, branding, and marketing, as well as sharing ideas with my colleagues in a way that older practitioners and larger veterinary practices have been able to do through groups such as VMG. Taking what I learned through Decade One, I was able to develop my brand first and then use specific marketing techniques to attract clients that fit that brand. This is important because it's enabled me to work for the right type of client. The clients that are coming to me for services that I enjoy performing and are paying me what I feel that I deserve to be paid. So why is it important that you're here today? First and foremost, student loan debt. A 2017 report issued by the AVMA Economic Division stated that veterinary students graduating in the year prior had on average over $167,000 in debt, and over 20% had at least $200,000. You add interest on top of that and it can feel absolutely suffocating. I like to describe it as trying to breathe through a wet blanket on a hot and humid day. Then we've got the low starting salaries. AAEP's Economic Summary Report published in 2016 stated that the average starting salary for an equine practitioner was $61,867 for men, and I hate to say this, but $51,109 for women. That's less than $30 an hour. When I renovated my house in 2017, I paid my carpenter $25 an hour, the electrician $50, and the plumber $65. Although skilled laborists, none of them required an advanced degree. Then, the majority of equine practitioners are working between 40 and 60 hours per week. During the busy part of the year, many of us are working much more than that. We even report working over 10 hours more per week than AVMA respondents, and the majority of AVMA members are small animal practitioners. What is truly unfortunate is that 1/3 of the respondents reported that they experienced some level of professional dissatisfaction. Some of them are even not satisfied whatsoever with their employment in equine practice. But 83.3% said that they wouldn't change into a different veterinary sector. Equine practice is in my blood, and I would have a truly difficult time working another job. So does this mean that we're all broke, overworked, and unhappy? Not necessarily. This is a famous quote by David Suzuki. We have to imagine the type of world we want and then work to create it. What if this is how you thought about your job? What if the quote said, we have to imagine the type of work we want and then work to create it? We need to first define what happiness and professional satisfaction look like to us, and then create a job and a work environment through which we can achieve that. Instead of working and working and working and hoping that we stumble into happiness and professional satisfaction, it is entirely possible to define a unique practice model that fits you and your life goals. Branding and marketing are the keys to the castle. They are what is going to allow you to bring your unique vision to life. Before we talk about marketing, we have to talk about branding. Branding is who you are. Branding is the implied promise to your current clients and to your future clients that what they have come to expect from your products and services will be well represented in all current and future experiences. Basically, what you see is what you get. And you get to determine your brand. You get to decide what you want to be known for. Do you want to be known for your integrative services, spinal manipulation and acupuncture? Include that in your brand. Do you want to be known for your lameness and your sports rehabilitation services? Let that be defined by your brand. You also get to decide how you're willing to get paid. Do your research and figure out what your local market will support for your services, but you get to decide where on that range you want to be. Do you want to be the most expensive, the least expensive, or be somewhere in the middle? Your clients don't determine your price. Your price determines your clientele. Lastly, you get to figure out how and when you want to work. If you've got children and you can't start your day until after you drop them off at daycare, that's okay. If you need to be done by 3:30 for pickup, that's okay. If you want to work a 4-day a week, that's okay. If you want to work on Saturdays, awesome. If you want to work solely doing emergency coverage, have at it. All of it's okay. All of it is unique. Branding a veterinary path left something to be desired. We relied too heavily on education, special expertise, facility, equipment, and a practice size, or even a particular doctor's name to get us ahead. It's as if we said, we're veterinarians and we're smart, you should use us. That's not working anymore. Brand management of today focuses on applying particular marketing techniques to increase the practice's perceived values to clients and potential customers. The vast majority of this should be done through a client experience, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Also your logo, advertising materials, website, and social media, which we'll be talking about in a separate lecture. When I joined Decade 1, Dr. Andy Clark shared with us that excellence was once an advantage in the equine industry. Now it's an expectation. Having the experience, expertise, and equipment that is in demand will only bring you short-term success while you're at an advantage. Some of your competition is going to recognize the same opportunities for success that you did. They may make note that you're enrolled in this course, and they may enroll themselves in the very next session. Once they do, you're going to have to work harder to retain your clients, and you will find it more difficult to acquire new clients if you focus your branding and marketing solely on experience, expertise, and equipment. How do you know if your brand needs work? Well, first of all, are people talking about you? Do you have an equal mind share of the local horsemen? When you get on Facebook to the horse groups and you type in veterinarian, Does your name pop up at all? Are you being recognized for the services that you feel are your greatest strengths? If you're really good at lameness, but nobody's calling you for a lameness exam, your brand needs work. If you're really good at dentistry, but your clients keep declining because they use the lay floater, your brand needs work. If you have a shockwave or a therapeutic laser that is not currently paying for itself because your clients don't know that you have it, your brand needs work. If you can't think of a single reason that sets you apart from your competition, your brand needs work. If this sounds a lot like you, don't be discouraged. A lot of veterinary practices need to work on their brand, and branding is ever evolving. Where my practice was in 2013 is not where I am in 2019. So I'd like you to do this exercise thinking not about your current practice, but that practice we talked about earlier that could bring you the level of professional satisfaction and happiness that you're looking for. Keep your eyes open or close them, but take some time and think about, what type of people do you want to work for? What type of horses do you want to work on? What type of medicine do you want to practice? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What type of work is exciting to you? So let's go over these questions. First of all, who's your target customer and what do they need from you? What are your current strengths and what are your weaknesses? What are you good at and what do you deep down know needs work? You need to be honest with yourself on that one. Then ask the same questions, but thinking about your competition. What are they good at? Where do you see are the holes in their practice models? Where could you potentially fill in the gap? So hit pause, take some time, and write these out. While we would like to think that we're giving it 110% every single day, I think most of us know that that's not always true. And rumors and barn gossip, it's hard to hear, and we want to get defensive, but we need to realize that sometimes those rumors and that gossip is based in a morsel of truth. So when you hear those things, are you absolutely certain that your best intentions to the client is always apparent? What is the client taking home from their experience with you and your practice? Does your level of customer service match your intended brand? That practice that you want to create, is that what you're currently advertising to your clients with their experience? Once again, this is time for you to be honest with yourself. So first, how would a client describe your practice? If you're not sure, ask them. Is this how you want to be seen? Why or why not? What are they not saying about you that you wish that they would? What are reasons why clients have joined your practice? More importantly, why have clients left your practice? When I was first asked these questions, I was left with a lot of room for improvement. What were people not saying that I wish that they would? Well, I wanted to do more lameness, but I wasn't seeing a whole heck of a lot of it. Those of you that know me personally, they know that I am competitive, bold, honest individual. I get very focused on my work and appointments, and sometimes that can come across to a client as being cold. So over the years, I've had to work hard to make sure that clients got to experience the compassionate, warm side of my personality that isn't always on the surface. Why have clients left my practice? Because I'm expensive. I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay when they left because I wasn't returning phone calls in enough time, or if I had a delay in notifying them about lab work results. That was not okay. That was not a good representation of my brand, and I have since implemented procedures so that that doesn't happen again. So take some time, hit pause, and answer to these questions, but make sure to be very honest with yourself. Have you ever covered call for another veterinarian or seen a case for a veterinarian in your practice which the owner routinely uses that other veterinarian in normal circumstances? And as you're interacting with this client, it becomes very clear to you why that client is best suited with the other veterinarian. No fault of anyone, but you can just see, wow, I can see why these two individuals work well together. You know what that is? That's personality. Personality is hugely important. Everybody in the room, everybody in our field is a veterinarian. That doesn't set us apart. What makes us different is our personality and our ability to show off our personality. That's not the same as acting the part. Let clients know who you are. Unlearn being boring. How can you be fascinating to your ideal client? Guys, I like to have fun during my appointments. I tend to attract a client with a decent sense of humor, but I'm also serious when I need to be. I tell clients often my job is to make your job easier. So I get the clients that want to know, when is the fecal due? When am I getting a dental done? Yada, yada, yada. It requires a little bit more hand-holding sometimes, and sometimes those clients can be a particular type of needy, but that's okay for me because it fits my brand and my personality. So taking a look at the list below, which one are you? Are there words that aren't on here that you feel like would describe your personality? Make sure to show off your personality. We're going to talk in another lecture about showing off your personality in social media, but right now work on showing off your personality during appointments, during your client experience. Because the more you show off your personality, the more likely you are to keep attracting the clients that are going to work well for your personality. The more clients you have that work well for your personality, the less you have to work with the clients that don't. And you know who I'm talking about, the clients that you want to schedule their appointment at the end of the day or have it be the only appointment on that day because they are such energy sucks that it is difficult communicating with them and meshing your personality with them. Now that we have an idea of what your brand looks like, we need to develop your brand promise. This is a statement made by your business to your target client saying exactly what they can expect from your products and services. It needs to be specific to you and your practice, a single benefit that may set you apart from your competition. It must be credible. You must have the goods and the historical customer experience to back it up. And it also needs to be a promise that's obtainable, something that you and every employee of your practice must live up to. It's going to start very broad when you develop this, where you can start doing a lot of sentences. This is what I promise to my customer, to always be on time, to always give you my best, to show up to every emergency. And then you're going to whittle it down to a giant concept. What do you promise to give to your customers, to my client base, is to give quality, compassionate care to horses in Mid-Coast Maine. That tells a client that I am a caring, compassionate individual, that I practice medicine well, that I have the necessary equipment when need be, and it tells the client exactly where I'm going to do that. We've spent all this time talking about branding, and now we're going to get into marketing, and we're not going to talk about a single newspaper ad. We're going to talk about the client experience. This should make up the bulk of your marketing efforts. You want to ensure that what customers see and think about your practice is what you intend. Current clients are actually employees of your practice working for free. A great experience will generate new business. 83% of new business comes from client referrals. Good experience will continue to validate your brand. Do not underestimate the power of a negative experience on your brand's reputation. On average, only 4% of customers actually voice their dissatisfaction to a business. Think about those clients where you vaccinated their horses last year, but not this year. The clients where you used to work up their horses' lameness exams, now somebody else does it. You used to do spinal manipulation or acupuncture, and now they've got the new vet. Best case scenario, those clients were dissatisfied with your service and told nobody else. But bad customer service is talked about more on social media and online reviews than praise for good customer service. There's also a cost of doing business. It costs approximately 6 to 7% more to acquire a new client than it does to maintain an existing client. Maintaining existing clients is an investment. A client that generates $400 to $500 per year in routine care is more valuable than a client who grosses $2,000 in one appointment and never sees you again. We have the longevity of the animal on our side, so it's incredibly important to maintain an existing client. There is also a cost of firing a bad client, and usually this is an emotional cost. Veterinarians can maintain a bad client for years, myself included. It's never a discussion of whether or not the client is bad. It's the fear that when we fire this bad client, what they may do to our reputation. Creating an experience your client will remember begins with you and your personal image. First and foremost, be on time. For years, veterinarians, especially equine veterinarians, have had a reputation for being late. It sets you apart to be on time. This is ridiculous, but use it to your advantage. Do your absolute best to be on time to every single appointment. If you are consistently late or overbooked, the problem lies within you and those that are scheduling your appointments if it's not yourself. You need to have a discussion about how that is hurting your brand's reputation and what can you do to improve upon that. I understand that things get out of control sometimes and you're going to be late and you're going to run behind. If that's the case, be sure to call your client or text them before you're late to let them know you're going to be late and give them an ETA. This is a clear respect of your client's time and they will see it that way. Your clothes should be professional, clean, and in good shape. Be sure to pack an extra shirt just in case you get dirty. When you get out of your car, the client should be able to clearly see who is the doctor and who is the technician. If they can't, it should be because your technician is so professionally dressed. Your practice vehicle needs to be clean and well organized. If things are falling out of your vehicle when you open the door, it is not well organized. Don't miss the fact that the back of your truck, when you open it, is a marketing opportunity. If you're selling Adequan, Percend, Vector 3D, or Chinese herbals out of your truck, make sure that you have all of the labels facing the same direction and facing outward so that the client can see it. Ensure a good patient interaction. How many times have you heard so-and-so was too rough with my horse? You want to make sure that the client's expectation for your interaction with their horse is what you're delivering. Some people need you to be efficient. Some people want you to treat their horse like the child that it is to them. Make sure that you're in line with what their expectations are for that interaction. Client interactions should be excellent. They should be treated as VIPs. That does not mean that they are always right. It just means that in the moment, the 30 minutes, the 45 minutes that they have with you, that they are the most important person in that room. Be prepared and be organized. Add some personal touches. Do you remember how or where this horse has been competing? Can you bring up their most recent accomplishment? Do you have any stories from previous visits about their horse or their family as conversation starters? This shows that you remember who they are. Follow through is important. Making sure that you can follow through on all deadlines and promises. Checking in after significant appointments, lameness, surgery, emergencies. If you're going to text or email, you can schedule these in advance when you are leaving the farm for 1 to 3 days out. We'll discuss how to do that in the social media lecture, but I, like you, am very busy and I tend to forget. So as I'm coming out the driveway, I will schedule a text to go to the client for 3 days out so that I can remember to check in. Can you make up protocols for your practice that you can stick to? We vow to send invoices and medical records within a certain amount of days. How many days is that? Laboratory results are promised to the owner within blank amount of days, but delivered in blank. Make sure you under-promise and you over-deliver. Schedule follow-up appointments while at the call or have the office call. Are you looking to expand your brand to a new audience or include new service, equipment, or skills? Make sure that they're in line with your brand. Just because it's a good idea for your competition doesn't always mean that it's a good idea for you. 2 examples for me, when I decided that I was going to take the spinal manipulation course, I knew that I would be the only one in my service area under the age of 35. I felt like that gave me a competitive advantage, and I knew that I had a successful niche to walk into. That same year, there were 2 practitioners in my area that invested in a gastroscope and ProStride. When the company called me to see if I would be interested in this equipment, I said no. This is for 2 reasons. The first being that was not the direction in which my brand was moving. The second being that I didn't have a way to pay for that equipment. So it was a better financial and business decision to refer services with a lower profit margin. Investing in marketing should be viewed as an investment in your brand. For the first 3 years of business, or if you are rebranding your practice, 3% of your total growth is a good starting point. After 3 years, for maintenance, you should invest 1 to 2% of your total growth. Having pride in what you're doing and having fun with your marketing makes the investment seem less painful. So let's begin. Logo design. A client is going to remember a good logo before they remember your name. I was on my way down to the acupuncture course, and I sat next to a woman on the plane, which ended up also being in the acupuncture course, just the small animal segment. I had a post on Facebook that went viral, and because my profile picture is my logo, she immediately recognized the logo on my water bottle. I have a sticker, but didn't know who I was. So your logo is your brand identification. It's incredibly important. It says to the client who you are. What's your practice name? What do you do? Do you just do equine medicine, or do you do other animals? Do you do a lot of lameness? Do you do internal medicine? Are you doing a lot of reproduction? And then is there a unique story behind your logo? My practice serves the Mid-Coast region of Maine as well as the islands surrounding that area. It was important to me to incorporate the Maine coastline, which you will see in the lower right-hand portion of the logo, into the logo. Your logo should be on everything. I'll give you some examples later on how you can do that, but it's important that your logo is present in your everyday life as a practitioner. A few little extra tidbits. Clients know that you're a veterinarian. The use of a medical cross or staff and a serpent are not necessarily required to distinguish yourself as such. You want to make sure that your logo translates well to embroidery. If you're not sure when you're in the proofing period of logo development, take it to a local embroidery shop and get their professional opinion on it. Make sure that you have a black and white version of your logo that looks good. And as my dad would say, spend the money and do it right the first time. If you're going to have this for 20 years, if your logo looks outdated, it looks like it's from GeoCities 1990, or it looks like it was made from clip art, your clients are going to wonder what else about your practice is outdated. So here are some examples of practitioners that submitted their logos, and you can see we have two that are the type of practice. One practice incorporates internal medicine, which I think is pretty cool, and then the other one is a 50-50 equine bovine practice, and the first time I looked at that, I did not see the cow, and when I saw the cow, that's some clever marketing right there. You can have the practice location incorporated like mine is. Heritage Equine is based in the Colorado Mountains, and you can see that reflected behind the horse head. Great Falls Equine. Great Falls is a local landmark in this particular practitioner's area in Massachusetts. Or there can be some sort of unique story behind your logo. High Water Veterinary Services is in Ohio, and Dr. Meir, her childhood horse was High Water Walter, who was tragically killed in a barn fire, and she knew that when she was going to start her veterinary practice that it wouldn't have any other name other than that. Lone Q Equine is another example of incorporating a favorite horse into the logo. So what can you do with your logo? You need to make sure that everything given to or viewed by your client has your logo on it because it is a representation of your brand. So in daily practice, this includes invoices and statements, any form or care-related materials handed to your client. So mine is on my spinal manipulation carbon copy forms, my acupuncture forms. If you are giving a client handout on stretches that you've typed up, make sure that it's on there. If you're coming up with a sports rehabilitation program that you've written on, a protocol, make sure that that has your logo on it. Your uniforms should have a logo on it, your polo shirts or your scrub tops. If you're working in the winter, make sure that your most exterior piece of clothing or the one underneath that as well, as some barns are heated, have your logo on it. Vehicles, I think that that's a completely independent choice. I do have magnets. I use them sometimes, usually when I'm at horse shows or public events, but in my daily practice, I don't keep the logo on the car. Other practices will have that permanently put on their car. I think that it's each individual's choice, but know that veterinary practices are having their trucks targeted not only for the drugs, but the expensive equipment that is housed within their vehicle. So just make sure that you can do what you want to do and double check with your insurance company that that's okay. Now this is where it starts to get fun. Clients are brand ambassadors. If you buy it, they will wear it, they will use it, and they will promote it happily. In 2017 and into 2018, I spent about $500 on a print ad in a regional newspaper that got me no business. So in 2019, I decided to invest the same amount of money in t-shirts for the top grossing clients, the top 10%, as well as my favorite clients. You know that they're not always one and the same. So I sent out an email and text message to these clients, and I asked them, hey, what's your preferred t-shirt size? And I created a t-shirt about $6 per shirt that had my logo screen printed on the back. People love them. You can also do hats, jackets, vests. You know your clients and you know what they're going to wear. Somebody once told me for the Western performance clients that it's important that they do a long sleeve t-shirt with their written name down the left side or the right side of the arm so that when they're standing in the winner's circle photo that their practice is well represented. I thought that was a brilliant idea. You can do patches for your rodeo clients, your barrel racers, coffee mugs, water bottles. If you want to have clients purchase them, that they're going to do it. Saddle pads. I got saddle pads on clearance from an online store, and I had them embroidered for about $8 to $10 per pad, which I gave to select clients to use at local horse shows. You can have grooming equipment with your logo screen printed. Golf towels are great. You can have it embroidered, which gets expensive, but you can also have it screen printed so that it's kind of like the fan towels at football games. I personally am a huge fan of stickers. I think that they're making a comeback. They can be purchased online. They cost me probably about 25 to 30 cents for the smaller sticker and about 60 cents for the larger sticker. I give them out to all new clients, and I see them when I go to the barns on water bottles, coffee mugs, tack trunks, emergency kits, on the trailer, on the horse's stall door. So if you love your logo, hand it out like candy. The other thing I thought that this was really creative from a veterinary practice was putting your logo on stall signs for no turnout for the horses that are on stall rest, or also consider it for the clients where their horse is colicking and needs to not be fed food as they're monitoring that. You can give it to the barns where you do a lot of work in the barn, and that can be something that they are just prepared to use if they need to. So be creative, have fun, and know your clientele and their style. Everyone's different. So business cards. This is a tangible representation of your brand. The essentials that need to be on the card: your business name, your brand promise, your personal name, your contact information, including your phone number and your mailing address, your email, and your website. Here's the kicker. You need to give your clients a reason to keep the card, or it's going to end up in the trash. How many times have you been given a business card, you look at it, you say, that's cool, and then it ends up in the recycling or the bottom of your purse or in a giant pile of business cards that you're never going to look at again? So how do you do that? You use the back. Whether you want to list your services on the back, important facts about their horse, maybe there's an area for them to put their horse's most recent physical exam results. Maybe you want to use it as an appointment reminder card on the back. I prefer to put the horse's normal vital signs on the card on the back, especially for temperature. It allows the client to have a quick reference. Often I see them keeping it in their wallet. They'll stash one on the pin board in the barn. I've also created magnets, which are a more permanent business card for me. They still have the simple contact information, basically my name and my telephone number, and the vital signs. I see these on the refrigerators in the barn, but I also see them attached to the metal trim on each horse's stall, so that people know that this horse is being treated by Dr. Daly of Midcoast Equine. Whatever you choose to do, your look, your brand should be consistent throughout all of your marketing material. In the past, we've been made to believe that discounting is bad. And I think general discounting is not a great idea. But what I do is targeted discounting as an investment in my business. My focus is to reward loyal clients through marketing. And I do this 3 ways. The first being a new client referral card. So this is an opportunity for when a client refers someone else to me. This is a double-sided card that has my information on the front as well as who gave the card to the new client. On the back, it has my services included. There is a PDF printable version of this on my website, but what I try to do is when I have a new client welcome to the practice, I send a note on a card that has my logo on the front of it that welcomes them to the practice, saying it was a pleasure meeting them, something specific about their horse, and including these referral cards into them, just wanting to welcome the new client to the practice. I also have decided recently to apply a referral credit onto the client's account directly. And the reason I decided to do this was that the referral cards weren't being utilized as much as I thought that they would be. I think a lot of people forgot. I also think, too, a lot of people are referring clients to your practice out of the goodness of their heart. They either want to help somebody else or they really like you and they want someone else to use you too. So recently, I have used a $25 credit, which I apply to the client's account that can be used on an invoice over $150. And I send the client a quick note via email or text letting them know that that credit is there and thanking them for referring the particular client to practice. I think that that is a good extension of my brand and just showing my appreciation for a client and letting them know how much I value them. That I've introduced into my practice is loyalty punch cards. I have used these for spinal manipulation and acupuncture. I think that it encourages clients to utilize the specific service more frequently. It is when those services are done separately, because when they're done together, they're already performed at a reduced rate, and I don't want to discount it any further. I think that it can also be applied with services like shockwave or laser therapy when you have a client that will probably pay for 3. They would likely pay for 4 if they knew that the 5th one was free. So there are templates available online. I do all of mine on Vistaprint that you don't have to have 10 punches. You can have 5 or you can have less than that. So you can kind of think about how much is a client willing to pay now and what do I think I can encourage them to do if I dangled a little bit of a carrot in front of them. I either initial my name in the circle or I have purchased a hole punch off of Amazon in the most obscure pattern I can find that I think is the least likely to be reproduced. Your website is a visual and written representation of your brand. You want to make sure that you're not relying solely on Facebook, because if you do that, you're going to alienate an entire population of potential clients who do not use Facebook. At a bare minimum, you should have something called a landing page. This is www.yourpracticename.com, and it includes your name, your contact information, a brief description of your practice, and your business hours. You may or may not include the services that you offer, but what this allows is you to be searchable on Google. Content that should be included on your website include, first and foremost, your contact information. When a client opens up your website, your name, if you're a solo practitioner, or the practice's name, if it's multiple doctors, should be clearly stated at the top of the website. You also want to have your telephone number right underneath that. They need to find out how to get a hold of you when they immediately open your homepage. Also have your veterinary services offered. Do more than just the written word. Make sure that you're having photos included that offer a visual representation of these services, how a lameness exam is performed, what a dental exam looks like for your practice, how does a spinal manipulation adjustment look, what does it look like when my horse has electroacupuncture. Other online services include a pharmacy, online bill pay. I don't offer either one of those on my website, but if you do, you want to make sure that a link to those is readily available from the homepage. Also include important client forms such as your new client form, medical release, payment agreements. All of those should be available on your website in a downloadable PDF form or a link to your Google Forms if you choose to do that. For your pictures, you want to have a really good headshot of you. These are actually available for free at the AAEP annual convention. The photo that you saw of me at the very beginning of the presentation came from that. You can use a professional photographer. You can trade photography services with a client. You can ask friends or local artists for use of their photos. When I first developed my practice, I had a classmate in college that had a professional camera and just enjoyed taking photos of horses, and they were really good. And I asked her if I could use them on my website, and she was happy to share. Videos. You can do how-to videos. I think a good video of the summary of your services, how those are performed like we talked about. You can do both a photo representation of that, but videos as well. Also, a great addition that has worked well for me is the Platinum Performance I Am an Equine Veterinarian video. They film it and they edit for you for free at AAEP, and I have a link, it's embedded in my homepage, that when a client goes to the desktop and on the mobile version, that is played automatically, and I've received a lot of positive feedback on that. When you are ready to publish your desktop version or after any updates that you make on your website, you want to make sure that your mobile version is clean and simple, because those edits don't always translate well from the desktop to the mobile version. This is important because 63% of internet traffic comes from smartphones and tablets, and 40% of people only use their cell phone. So, you know, a messy website can be worse than no website at all. So if your desktop version looks great, but your mobile version is a mess, and that's how a client is going to find you, they're going to miss you, or they're going to be worse, turned off by what they see. Now, how do we get your website to the top of the Google search list or the Bing search list? This is something called SEO, search engine optimization. These are small changes that you can implement in your website to help you organically, that means not paid, reach a high position on the Google search results or other search engines. So when I first came out with my website in 2014, I was third on the second page of my searches, and in 2019, I was second on the first page. So that's a huge accomplishment, and it took some time, but it's mainly just these SEO changes that I'm about to tell you. The first thing you want to do is find out where you fall. Google your practice. What I like to type in is horse vet plus my location, or your state if there's not a ton of horse vets in that state. Where does your practice fall? What page are you on? The first page, the second page, the third page? Who's ahead of you? Your closest competition, are they ahead or behind you? If you're trying to increase awareness of a particular service, try looking for that. Horse plus acupuncture, spinal manipulation, cold laser, shockwave, plus your location. Are other practices that you know that have that service being recognized on a search engine for that particular thing? Can you gain an advantage over them by increasing your SEO? So how do we do that? It's going to take some time and it's going to take a lot of work. But website builders such as Wix and Squarespace offer SEO tools to make it easier for you. I prefer to go page by page. So first, starting with my home page, then I'm going to go to my services because they are the most important. But start with each page and take that to completion before you move on to the next one. You want to make sure that there is a title put for each and every page, and the title of the page. So if you're on a page that describes your spinal manipulation services, spinal manipulation needs to be in the title. Then you need to have a description of that page that includes keywords. Now at IBMI, we have been trained in spinal manipulation. We understand that that is the proper term for it versus chiropractic. However, it is important in your description that you include the word chiropractic because that is how clients generally are going to be finding you on Google. Those are the words that they are going to be typing in to Google to look for a chiropractor / one that is certified in veterinary spinal manipulation. Next is meta tags. Now, there are meta tags for each website, photo, and file. Those are keywords. Those are words that clients will potentially put into Google to look for your service. So again, spinal manipulation, chiropractic, chiropractor, back pain, animal crackers, make sure it's your location, mane, horse, lameness, shoulder, pelvis. The list could go on and on and on. But you want to enter these thinking about it from the client's perspective and exactly what they're going to be typing to search for you in Google. If you're not sure, ask your technician, ask your client, hey, how did you find me? Then you want to utilize Facebook, email campaigns, and your text message to clients to increase traffic to your website. How you do this is through Facebook posts. Say you are going to do a Facebook post explaining a certain aspect of acupuncture. Well, put a link on the bottom of that to get a client to go to the acupuncture page for your website. Some people may click on that to get more information, and what that does is brings more traffic to your web page. Higher traffic increases your SEO. How I do this for email campaigns, yes, it's letting clients know about my new services, but also handouts that I have. So, hey, do you know how to wrap a foot bandage? Do you know how to apply Vector 3D? Those are PDF versions on my website as well, and I send, instead of sending a screenshot, I send a link to the client to the online PDF through my website to increase traffic back to my website. This can also be done through a text message. Lastly, make sure you have a Google My Business account. This is a simple to use and free service that will increase your SEO. If your practice has a physical location, it will put a flag on Google Maps at your location. If you're like me and you don't, it will maintain your P.O. Box address on your contact information, but you do need to confirm an address. So for me, it puts a flag on Lime Rock Street in Rockland, but not at my actual physical location. If a client was smart enough, they could probably Google my address and find it anyway, so it's really nothing new for me. Clients will be able to access information about you easily, including your hours of operation, your contact information, a brief business description, as well as your services. I pretty much just copied and pasted my service description from my Facebook, which is much shorter than my website, and put it on my Google Business. There is also a convenient Call Now button for mobile users that allow them to make a phone call directly from their Google search. Lastly, I would like to let you know about some resources that have been helpful to me during my business journey. I have received no endorsements from any of these authors or companies, but I'd like to share this information with you. Company of One by Paul Jarvis is a really fantastic book discussing the idea of staying small while everyone else is big. It talks about choosing the life that you want to live and working only as much as you need to in order to live that life. The One Thing by Gary Keller is a fantastic book if you're feeling completely overwhelmed by the list of things that you need to do. It debunks the myth of multitasking and gives you tools to learn how to truly be productive. If you're feeling overwhelmed by these classes, like you're an imposter, a fake, and you do not have the goods to back it up, Presence by Amy Cuddy is the book for you. Lastly, Decade 1, as I mentioned before, provided a foundation of knowledge for my personal business journey, and one that is worth a look. Thank you very much for joining me on this lecture. I hope that you have learned a lot and that you find it exciting to think about your both personal and your business brand and the power that you have in that. Thank you very much.